And welcome back, one and all, to the Blue Rose Respite. Oh, I never get tired of that opening. How are all of you this evening? It is an absolute pleasure to stream with you once again. Let's see who we have with us. The early squad rolling in, of course, as well as the amazing Terrakaj Shadowfang Culture Ghost. Hey guys, how's it going? I haven't seen you for a while, Terrakaj. I'm so glad you're able to join us tonight. Let's see who else. Culture Ghost, it's your first time with us. Thank you so much for being able to make it. It's wonderful that you're able to be here with us tonight. Because I have missed this spooky little story so very much. I'm most excited to see where the story takes us. And Shadowfang, it's your first time here with us too. Welcome. Wonderful to see you. Oh, so many new faces tonight. Oh, but it looks to be a good stream tonight. I haven't played this since before I flew to Phoenix, so I am very excited to get back into this wonderful story that we are going to share together. Yes, everyone been welcoming to the newcomers. I'm sure you will be, but feel free to say hi, get comfortable. Everyone here is amazingly kind and friendly, so feel free to just chill and relax with us as we engage in this wonderfully spooky tale. We are currently on kind of the second chapter, as it were, of this story. We're currently seeing the lovely Hannah's side of things. Last we left off on our story, poor Hannah was having complicated feelings surrounding her marriage to Luke, right? Pompous prick if there ever was one, and not the gentlest of husbands. But on the night of this grand welcoming party, housewarming party definitely, in Luke Wright's honour, with the acquisition of the Ermengarde mansion, things could be far better as Luke Wright makes his very late entrance. And hi, wonderful, hi from Canada, and hi from London to you, Fallout kids. So, without further ado, let's get going, shall we?
Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There is a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she is dangerously close, with fury in her eyes and she is already spitting venom. Oh shit! Shit's getting real already, guys! Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an empty glass of wine in her hands. How much is she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you monster! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here!
Oh, that accent's, needs a little bit of work.
You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of the alcohol on her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. But I'm absolutely pissed by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. There is a considerable amount of restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask the exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass!
Yeah, like this.
Tell me that I should wait for you in the gardens.
Yeah, shit's going down, guys.
Excuse me. What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk. That's all it is. Just completely and utterly mad. Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
Oh, this is turning into Maury Povich up in here.
God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
It is now that Johan returns with security, along with a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he has heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man.
I'm so sorry for her behaviour. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Fallout Kids 567 with 4 bits. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. 4 bits for the drama. Yes, that's right. There's no way that what Rochelle says is the truth. What she says doesn't match up. I know Luke. If such a scandalous meeting are to be arranged, he wouldn't do it in such an exposed place, especially not near his precious flowers. And he definitely won't promise responsibility over a child, unless it can be helped. Besides, Luke will never. He will never go as far as to sleep with another woman, right? Okay, fine. Who am I kidding? If I'm to be completely honest with myself, he might cheat. With a bit of temptation and a bit of alcohol, he just might. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 bits for Stephanie. Thank you. Well done, Culture Ghost. Well done. And doesn't that just make my blood boil? To even think of the slightest possibility of infidelity. Lee isn't too far off when he told me how Luke still acted like some young, hotshot bachelor. Oh, Fallout Kids, for your cousin. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate that. Oh, this choice, like, work for your happy ending or perhaps a break is needed. Okay, guys, we've seen the kind of tomfool of fuckery that Luke's been pulling, so I honestly think a break is sorely needed between these two, so... Fuck yeah! Creepy Raven up in the house! Oh my god, Raven, thank you so much for the host! And everyone, say hi to Creepy Raven. He's an amazing, amazing friend and fellow narrator and creepypasta narrator person, entertainer. Yay! Oh, thank you so much for the host, dude. I appreciate it. Yes, Raven, I will make you a mod. I'm not sure if I'll do it after the stream. I'll make you a mod. Because you're amazing. But for now, we have a choice to make, so... I think Hannah and Luke need a bit of a break. Maybe Marianne had a point. If I am frustrated, if I am unhappy, maybe a break is needed. Some time apart might just be what the doctor ordered. Time apart to clear our heads and think for ourselves. Or for myself, to be exact. because looking at this mess before me just brings nothing but distress. And Fallout Kids 567 with another host. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. And awesome, GentlemanPhilosoraptor, glad to see you could join us tonight. I feel a bit nauseous, actually, now that I think about it. Luke's too busy making a scene to notice, and a concerned Becky pulls me to the side. She looks as disturbed as I am by the sudden turn of events. Probably not a big fan of drama. Definitely not used to it at any rate. Not surprising, as her parents were lovely yet simple people.
Hey, I figured you could use the save. You looked like you weren't doing too hot back there. Do we need to call a doctor or something?
Creepy Raven with 400 bits? You serious, man? Raven, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. God, my friends are amazing. But yes, I will make you a mod. I'm actually going to see if I can do that quickly. No, fuck, I'm going to have to wait until after the stream to make you a mod. Sorry, dude. But thank you so much, man.
Oh no, I'll just be needing some fresh air, that's all. Some help getting out of here would be much appreciated. Sure, that won't be a problem. I wanted to get away from this drama too anyway. Just... Hey, Zachary! Hey, Zach!
At the mention of his name, I can't help but seek him out in the crowd as he makes his way over. They know each other?
Becca, this is a real oh, hey, Miss Wright.
If I'm to assign a random number to dictate the odds of having two of my acquaintances know each other, I'll say the odds are 1 out of 1,000. Oh, Fallout Kids. I didn't know it was a funeral today. I really hope that it went smoothly and that your family they managed to work through everything. Like, I'm kind of at loss of words to say, but you do have my condolences. I'm really sorry about your cousin. It isn't completely impossible to have two random strangers who have met on separate occasions to know each other in what will be complete random happenstance. It's just that it's been faked before to try and dupe me because of who I am and who I am married to. But right now, coincidence or not, I'm just grateful for the help. As long as this doesn't turn out into a kidnapping anyway.
Hello, Zachary. I told you to call me Hannah. Did I not?
Yeah, you did. So this is what you called me for. We gonna get Hannah out of here?
I can see that they're friends. Not terribly close ones, but friends nonetheless.
That'd be great.
They make quick work of getting us through the crowd. The people part because of Zachary's broad build, even if they want to approach me. And if that isn't enough, Becky's pointed glares keeps them at bay. Comstein, glad you're able to join us. We even make it out of the ballroom without any untoward incident. Though judging by the commotion in the other room, the same cannot be said about the unexpected eviction. I really do need the fresh air. I need to be away from those nosy Parkers. I need to be away from Luke. This is a good start as any.
Hey, I gotta go back in there. Completely forgot my bag like an airhead, and I'll see if I can tag Ash on the way out. You'll be fine here, right, Hannah? Not to worry, dearie. I'll just be right here.
Fallout Kid, I didn't know that they admired my work so much. They sound like a really, really amazing individual. I'm truly sorry for your loss.
Zach will be with you if you need anything.
Becky balks at the idea of going back into the ballroom. Anyone who hasn't yet would have realised I'm gone by now. And those busybodies will be gossiping about how I left the building with two unknowns. Along with what just transpired, stories both inaccurate and made up will spread by the night's end. It all matters very little in the grand scheme of things, of course. I won't even bother to try and quell them by returning to the fray. That leaves me with...
Zachary,
Yeah, you need something?
I was only going to say how nice it is to see you again.
Oh, okay.
I can see the tension in the line of his shoulders. Odd how awkward he is, when this isn't our first meeting. We had met on professional terms, certainly, but I'd still like to think of it as friendly. I was friendly. Nonetheless, I do not push the issue about the apparent discomfort when we were left alone. Not right away, at any rate. I know my curiosity will get the better of me soon. Before I can say anything, however, he speaks up.
You okay there, Hana? I mean, of course you're not okay after what happened in there. I mean, that was terrible. But you're not gonna just fall down and faint or anything, right?
I'm fine. Thank you for your concern.
A beat.
I should be asking you the same thing. I remember you being a lot more eloquent.
Oh yeah, I'm just not too good with staying too long in a crowded room. Or handling intense drama, you know. Sorry about my clothes. Didn't think there'd be a dress code. Not that I have anything that nice to wear to a shindig like this. I dig nice, small, simple parties, so this is a real doozy for me.
And do you host your own nice, small, and simple parties often?
Only when there's occasion, birthdays and stuff. Those are a lot more fun for me, and I can be a lot more selective about letting only the people I'm cool with attend, right?
Yeah, I agree, Culture Ghost. Like, that swinging chandelier gives bad juju.
I get to pick the food, too. Of course, I make most of them myself. There's usually a dozen people or less, and all we really do is just hang out. Maybe do some grilling, karaoke, dancing, you know, the usual.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. You sure you're all right? You aren't exactly being eloquent yourself, as you put it. You must have something you want to get off your chest.
I don't know, Zachary. What am I supposed to say?
You can scream Merd if you want. I won't snitch.
Meld! My relationship with my husband is meld!
You want to know what I think? How I feel? I think my friend may have slept with my husband. At least, I'm pretty sure she isn't pregnant with his baby, which isn't much now, is it? My husband is a selfish, pretentious, bloody sack of shite, and you know what? I don't give a flying fuck anymore! My god!
Kudos to you, Hana. Just let it all
Very
out.
good. Not giving a crap won't make the problem go away.
I'm going to ask him for a break, Zachary. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't a problem, but I just need to step back.
Fair enough. As long as you don't just up and disappear on him, I suppose.
Yes. Now can we please stop talking about him? Tell me more about your small, simple parties. Karaoke and dancing. How does that even go together?
Simple, really. We hope Ash doesn't take the mic, put on a bit of fun music, and just dance. Not that I can, but there ain't nothing complex about it.
You can't be that bad.
I'm pretty good with the twist. Or that's what they tell me, at least. I think they're just being nice. I'm sure it just looks awkward.
You go, Glen Coco. What was the dialogue? I kind of like spaced out for just a second. No, I'm not going to make him embarrassed by like saying prove it, but maybe like at least you can cook though.
At least you can cook. Allegedly.
Yeah.
You still bring no proof.
This party ain't exactly a potluck, is it?
True, true. Perhaps you can invite me to one of your simple parties. I will
Oh,
bring the cake.
Hana, you just want friends. I like
Yeah,
you.
why not? But with a cake that big, like at your housewarming party, we'll be eating frosting for weeks. Maybe make it a little simpler and it's a deal.
Simple would be nice.
Oh, Hana. I wish the same can be said about what I'm about to do. Simple isn't the adjective I will use to describe the task at hand. Because really, how does one tell their husband that they want to separate and say that, no, this is not a divorce? Not yet, at least. The possibility is there. But still, How am I even to explain that to Luke without him throwing a fit? Cutting too deeply into my sausages, I open my mouth to excuse myself. That is, until I spy Luke mashing and stirring his poached eggs with a fork like a petulant child. He has been silent all the while, chin in his hand and elbow resting on the table. I worry that my absence after the debacle may have caused more harm than good.
Luke, I think we need a bit of a break. You know, some time apart.
At my words, he grows still and silent. I'm not quite sure whether I should be worried or not. I take it as my cue to keep talking.
It's not permanent or anything like that. Just for a while. In a few days, perhaps. I was thinking I can move back into our penthouse in the meantime, but I won't be moving out right away, so that I can help settle everything here. And I haven't even thought of packing yet. And I'll want to ask Johans to assign some of our staff. Unless you want the penthouse anyway. Then I'll stay here instead.
No, you take the penthouse. It'll be easier for you.
It isn't supposed to be this easy, is it? Can you really react so aloof to it?
Isn't this to your liking? I imagine that you'd like the space and independence. You'll have the bed and covers to yourself, and you can have whatever you want prepared for meals. You can even have all the wine you want, though I'd rather that you don't.
This isn't about that, Hana. Well, it's partly that, but...
The man stops playing with his food, choosing instead to push the plate aside.
What's wrong, Luke?
He slumps back in his chair and just stops short of putting his feet up on the table. I suspect he's wanting some wine or absinthe by now, but any sort of alcohol was suspiciously absent in his hands.
Aside from that disaster yesterday and you telling me you want a divorce, everything is peachy keen. Will you want me to start in the letters then? To start the divorce settlements and whatnot?
Fuck you!
Will you be seeking ways to throw me out onto the street without a penny to my name?
Oh, fuck you, Luke. I hate you so much.
No, Luke, this isn't a divorce. I just told you this is only temporary. Are you really having a sulk because of what she said yesterday?
I am having a sulk because you believe her. You stormed out and now you're asking for us to split up? Soon enough, you'll want to throw me out like I'm a piece of trash.
Do you think I would be this calm if I believed her, Lucille Mitchell right? Because believe me, if I did, well, it wouldn't be pretty. Besides, I know how you feel about children. It makes her whole statement laughable.
Sure, whatever you say.
His mouth draws into a thin line, and I can't bring myself to comment on his half-hearted reply. To me, the silence that follows feels oppressive. It only emphasizes the wall that has been built up by my obstinance and his hubris. Obeisance and his hubris, apologies. And it looms between us, keeping us apart.
When are you leaving? In a week?
It won't take that long to pack. After All Saints, perhaps? I'll go and inform the staff of this.
He only nods. And I'll be lying if I said that didn't disappoint me. I expected more resistance. The man can be stubborn as a mule if he wants to be. Perhaps I can leave now, just to spite him. But that isn't like me. Even if this does end in divorce, a thing we both surely wish to avoid, we can still leave on amicable terms. There's no point in making a mountain out of a molehill.
What are you still doing here? Just leave. You still have some packing to do, don't you? Go ahead. I won't stop you.
You know, Luke, you're so easy to hate. So easy to hate. Go ahead and do nothing. There isn't much to do, it seems, whenever I step up to the plate and try to take responsibility for something. Luke Wright, you are the father! This whole thing is a clusterfuck. Anyway, perhaps because everything is already being handled by someone hired specifically for that job? And with Johans overseeing the staff and Luke handling everything else as a whole, that doesn't leave much for me. I can't even take the job of delegation, because all it takes is a word of one of the senior staff and everything will be taken care of for me. Hang on. Just gonna try something. Ah, shit. No. Is there a space? Hey, there we go. Welcome to the mod squad. And that didn't take any real effort at all.
Yes, Hannah, go buy a mansion in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, yeah, I will say that spontaneously buying a massive ass mansion in the hopes of patching up your failing marriage, yeah, Hannah, you probably should have put a little bit more thought into that.
Good idea. Great plan.
There are no dishes to set aside to busy myself with. Any mess left behind is now nearly non-existent. To sit on a counter while eating cake is supposed to be my next plan. Alas, there isn't even one to finish off, and I don't really know what brought me to the kitchen in the first place. It's not like I'm craving anything else, nor do I have any unfinished business left here. But there's a calling to this room. Speaking of calling, why not do just that? Might as well, since I have nothing else to do. At least that will require some effort on my part. With how cut off from the rest of Luxbourne the mansion is, and with how long it has abandoned before we moved in, having a landline is out of the question. The solution, supposed to be, are mobiles, though it isn't much considering how spotty the signal is in this area. It'll take a bit of manoeuvring to even get a single bar as it is. It takes a bit, as I said it would. I have to park my rear in one of the cold drawers, but it suits me just fine. Another matter that needs my effort is who to call. She who must not be named is certainly off the list. That doesn't leave much in the category of close friends who attended the party, along with the category of who else is awake at this early hour. But soon enough I manage and the call goes through.
Hello, Rebecca Gales here. Who's this? Good morning, Becky. Hannah? Oh wait, how did you get my number? You responded to your RSVP through the phone. It's all saved in here, of course. I thought I'd like to say hi and make plans and get together sometime. Also, I'd love to hear news about your mother and father and about you, my dear. Oh, I hope I didn't wake you up.
Oh, you're good. It's sports day at school today, so I was just prepping for that.
Figures that you'd be a teacher as well. I'm sure your students must absolutely adore you.
Don't know about that.
Mathematics?
History, actually. Anyway, it's real nice to know you've got my number. I was going to ask for yours because Mom wanted to keep in touch.
You could have asked, silly girl. I would have gladly given it to you.
Couldn't, though, because, well, the thing that happened. But really am sorry, though. I gotta run. School, schedule, stuff. Is there anything else you want to say? Don't want to use the mobile while driving?
Oh, of course, of course. I shouldn't keep you. But I wanted to thank you for your company yesterday.
Not a problem.
I was hoping you could thank Zachary on my behalf as well. He was really kind and wonderful.
Well, you can tell him that yourself if you want. I can give you his number.
Oh, no, I don't want to be a bother. Intruding on his privacy.
Follow that kids567 then with another 4 bits. Thank you so much. God, you guys are amazing. But thank you so much for that, kids.
Pretty sure he'd be fine with it. If you two on a first name basis and all. So his number, right, it's...
Call start. Oh, here we go. The call starts to go static, much to my frustration. A strange clicking noise drowns out most of her words, too. I can barely understand what she's saying. And the line completely dies. I can feel a headache coming along. It's just building up, starting from a light throbbing on one side of my head. The static is gone and that helps a lot. But there is still that incessant, horrible clicking. Again and again and again. Which doesn't make sense. The mobile's turned off, isn't it? And if it isn't coming from the phone, then where? Looking about, I can't help but let my eyes be drawn to the hatch leading into the wine cellar once more. That's when the clicking stops, and I can hear that crying. That familiar crying from before. What happened the other day, when I was told that nobody should have been down there. I tried to forget it because of how it unsettled me so. One can hardly do that when I'm looking at the very thing I'm trying to forget. Somebody's crying down there again. But if I leave it alone, it simply won't bother me. Stop bothering me for the rest of the day. It might have forgotten to lock it with the party going on.
This again? If somebody is pulling my leg, I will not be happy.
Oh, Hannah, you idiot! True enough, all it takes is a bit of a pull to open the hatch. As I look down into the cellar, a sense of uneasiness washes over me. It isn't just the sudden onset of vertigo and nausea, but also the darkness. It's suffocating. And as I look down, it feels as if it's looking back at me. I worry that something will suddenly pull me into the deep. The cries drown beneath the shrieks that start echoing in my head, high and shrill, like nails being dragged across a chalkboard. They're all screaming, shouting at me. I can just feel her rage. Help me. She wants to drown me, drag me down and crush me in the very depths of darkness until there is nothing left of me. The deep abyss waits for me. I love you guys freaking the fuck out in the chat. For my death. They're all calling for it. This is a nightmare. There's a rope around my neck and I can feel the rest of me being torn apart. And they're still screaming. I'm screaming. Though it is not my voice that escapes my lips. It claws through, climbing up and forcing its way up my throat like putrid bile. I choke and gag, yet I scream and shriek at all the same. I'm me, but not me. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Shit. Fuck. Shit. No. Shit. Shit. No. The screaming stops and dies down. It's a moment of reprieve, and I want to believe that I'm finally safe. But it's quiet. Too quiet. Okay, that's gonna take another shot. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We get another shot at it when it comes to the QuickTime events. Okay, shit. Okay, now I'm ready. Shit. Okay, I think I did it. Hey! It pushes me down to my knees before I'm prone and vulnerable on my stomach. It makes me tumble, and I can feel my whole body seizing, writhing on the floor. Everything and nothing hurts. It feels like I'm on the verge of death. And if I'm not dying, I nearly wish I actually am.
Hannah? Hannah, what is going on in here? Why are you?
Seeing Luke, something snaps back, and I'm able to take a gasp of air on my own volition for the first time in what feels like centuries. I would have rejoiced and cried for his name if the pain did not rack my body. Oh, maybe they can make this work. Instead, all I can do is stare listlessly as he comes to my side and lifts me up, cradling me in his arms. He tries to get me to my feet, perhaps to take me out of here. But all he's able to do is to get me to sit, make sure I'm not trashing on the floor. I can still feel my muscles spasm, limbs jerking like a puppet's on a string. Yeah, you're not the only one, Raven. I think the both of them are kind of mad for staying. Luke holds me tight and keeps me still, so that I do not hurt myself anymore. Whatever it is that happened, It has my mind feeling frayed and battered. Eventually, the pain dies down into a dull ache, and my own tongue stops feeling like cotton. It's only now that I can feel the wetness on my cheeks, tears streaming down my face. A coughing racks my body, now that I don't feel like choking. And it all just feels so horrible. But I don't care. I don't care.
Please.
What happened here? Who did this to you?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Shh, it's all right. You're safe now, Hannah. You're safe now.
Okay, it all it took was her being almost killed to, you know, maybe make this marriage work. But we move on to the next chapter of our story, which is the story of Zachary. The pleasant aroma hits me long before I can cross the threshold. Faint, but light and warm. A reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commending gaze. Ma's tender smiles. The sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning. And the distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something cooks from the room. I agree, Shadowfang. He's definitely a kind of character that would take things for granted. But yeah, upon hearing, like, your wife's screams of distress coming from the kitchen, like, even if with marriage problems, you'd rush to help. The room. Our room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I too, eventually. But we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls more foreboding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma singing ceases, and Pa.
No, please wait. I'll be good. I'll sleep on time. Don't go.
I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid, but the blood that drips on my hand is warm, warm, warm. It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place and for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. Morning has not even arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
And too long. Too long since the last I've woken up drenched in my own sweat, head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the desperation sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and... There's a twinkle in Ma's eye when she looks up from her work, flour dusting her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within an arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll all have a taste. I'll have to taste these first before we put them up for sale tomorrow. You up for a little, man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know what waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. Fallout Kids 567. If you're heading to London, there's a ton of amazing places to check out, as well as like the touristy spots, like the shops around like Regent Street, Oxford Street, and Piccadilly Circus. If you want to see something that's kind of more like a point of interest, Highgate Cemetery is also amazing. There's some famous people buried there, and just the area of Highgate is beautiful and green this time of year, which is really, really nice if you like parks and things like that. I'd also recommend just like a ton of pubs that are around town. So honestly, there's a ton of amazing places to go, so you can't really go wrong there. My bed remains in utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is as unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already placed that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. I never really did anything to stave off the headaches sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's. The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghosts threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them all away with a broom if she was here. But no matter. It's a welcome break from the thoughts about to take a morbid turn if I left festering. It's probably just Ash anyway, looking for us to crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonders of wonders why he's bothering with the courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and he started wearing a ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is a pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hands she's trying to hold back. Hide, if I didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry. I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you were the closest to my office, and...
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in?
You guys all thought it was the spooks. We need to build up to more spooks.
Is it alright? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture. Easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times when night terrors are inevitable, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and saunter over the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of the plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be for a snack, the familiar motions keep me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for showing up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet scuffling softly against the tile floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway, holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. And feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry. New freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she'd have something more to say about that. A quip, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile as she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until we are left hanging. What we left hanging feels disconcerting. Before everything turns stifling and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How's one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Thank you so much, Shadowfang! I'm glad you enjoyed the latest chapter. I had a lot of fun writing it. And a big thanks to Right Hand of Doom for doing the voice for the assassin, because it was like literally less than a week before I was planning on releasing it, and yeah, he's amazing. So thank you so much. I'm really glad you're enjoying how the story goes. And the twists and turns ahead. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying. The sudden loss for words. This bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take the seat is a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it on her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened.
Isabella, you're a terrible liar.
To Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once, or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, a strong odour of the stop bath, the television's barely audible murmur in the background, and a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects would strike someone this close to me.
Oh. Damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause, and as in this remark the mask she's been keeping up falls apart, if only for a short while. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such marring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your co-worker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows laboured.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
She clasps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the sides of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth.
Please, please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
Alright, Isabella. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes, in favour of taking control of the situation. Too close, too similar.
Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present.
Zachary, you're an amazing friend.
I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop this topic altogether.
No more. Please, no more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask any more. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much.
Pistachio ice cream makes everything better. Best friend ever. A+ friend.
We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either one of us gets hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath from my little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two. But the latter does the trick. And soon enough, she's already drifted off by the time I return with the promised glass of water, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain on her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed, and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. You're a Rocky Road guy? I could definitely see the appeal. For me, it's either like strawberry ice cream or salted caramel. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon. But for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. There are still questions left to be answered. But the late hour, coupled with the sun's exhaustion, makes my old couch a more comfortable bed than it typically is. Oh, Raven, that sounds really freaking good. Culture Ghost, cookie dough is also one of my jams. But maple walnut with chocolate sauce. No, I want ice cream, you guys. Damn it. I have some salted caramel stuff in the freezer I might have afterwards. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep a distance for now. For both of us. Before we get too involved, I think we should have a little read of Zachary as a person, shall we? Zachary Zach Steele. March 20th, Pisces, 31 years old. 6 foot. Freelance photographer. American agnostic. Diploma in digital film. He likes pie, photography and filmography, documentaries, cooking, acoustic guitar and video games. Before his parents' death, he lived in New Jersey, where his family owned a diner and bakery. He and his older sister were orphaned due to a hate crime, and they were forced to move to England where their grandparents lived. He had loved cooking and helping out with the old diner, but grew lazy and disinterested after the incident. It did not help that he was one of the few blacks in a predominantly white community at the time. His passion for the visual arts was sparked when he found old Polaroids and home movies of his parents. Freelancing helped him pay his rent, but the man had long set his sights on the indie film scene. It was during the creation of his first documentary that a robbery occurred, and Ashton was there to investigate. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time led to Zachary being placed as a suspect, but the rookie detective helped him clear his name. Oh, Zach. In the end, it became one of those nights where sleep passes like a blink, and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift my hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, though it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, and washing everything in subtle grey hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those few precious extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. The ringing still hasn't stopped even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
It was getting a little bit grating, wasn't it?
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. Sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
Fuck off, Ashton.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
Oh, now they've got me yawning. Yeah, sorry guys, it wasn't the best time to pause. I thought it would stop when I paused it.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper wound from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure of how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls the blanket over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes, or how much her hands and lips trembled. Save for her firm grip on the edge of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something, the worry, the concern, must have surfaced in my tone, because his own shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think... Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking one second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him, if the way he falls silent after is telling. But whatever his opinion is, stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury.
I completely agree, Shadowfang. Zachary's an amazing friend.
How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
He drops the call before I can even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening as the rest of Luxbourne rouses. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamour of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following the troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wake, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting isn't easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through, despite the proverbial ghosts hanging around. Proverbial! Ha ha ha! And many literal ones. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odour of the capsules equally so. Yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I spent minutes, heck, even hours, staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now, it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although, I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after our missing appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I plop the tablet into my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
Isabella, you're adorable in the morning. The bottle on my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. Yeah, I imagine he's suffering from PTSD. Fits with what happened to him. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities. Inexperienced and immature, even. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford, to overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigations, or Rebecca's needs for her own work. Kimmy-kun 417, welcome! I don't believe you've joined us before, but welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. We're just continuing this story of strange comfort and terrifying ghosts, so everyone in the chat, make sure to make them feel welcome. But it's certainly enough to deftly put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table and my hand says something, is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this time.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions?
Best friend.
Not in this
Amazing
house.
friend.
My nana would give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features, and she spares another cursory glance over at the table, back at the bottle holding every small piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Ma's face as she watched him fall lifeless on the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here. It never stops, does it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. I agree, Shadowfang, 100%. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would have been a little amazed. If not a loss for words at that. She's left up to me whether I'll give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone would ask me. Like, Zach, she's an amazing person. I reckon tell her the truth. Open up. But it's never easy, is it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It will never be. Not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence. Can't force yourself to get better or move on to better things. It is what's normal now, and I can only cope. Question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that is all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kinda hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always the small area closest to my laptop, near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but... Can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
And she does. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth, of my ma and pa, their little old diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, my own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident. I agree, GentlemanPhilosoraptor. It's so wonderful to see so many new faces in the chat, and you guys are so wonderful and talkative, and I do genuinely appreciate that. You guys are incredible. All except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hit the floor motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman. He was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories about how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
I expected questions, mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easy to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything that's been said, she wraps her arms around me. A bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer this in kind. If I'm even supposed to reciprocate. Kimikun, thank you so much for the subscription! Awesome, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled that you enjoy my channel so much. Welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. Be sure to join the Discord for the after party and get to know the people there. They're amazing. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. I'm your favourite streamer, Shadowfang. Thank you. If you have to head off for class, then yeah, that's totally cool. But I'm so glad that you enjoy my channel so much. I'm so glad you're able to join us tonight. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it is obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Yes, more recruitments for the Empress of Edge's army. All shall bow to me.
Oh, okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
For that kid, I'm your favourite streamer as well. Thank you. Cool, glad you can stick around for a bit longer, Shadowfang.
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. But I'm ready. Like today.
Culture Ghost, you're kind of like a part of all of my characters' armies, and they're all played by me. So in a strange way, you're part of my wonderful army. Or maybe not so much an army, like loyal subjects under my strange empire.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
My strange celestial angelic empire.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out of my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons?
Whatever floats your boat, Culture Ghost. I'm just so glad that you're able to join us tonight. And we hope to see you many, many times in the future when you can make it.
But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Shh! Velociraptor, you're not supposed to tell them it's a cult! The cult thing comes afterwards in the police investigation. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. It's a little bit more of an empire than it is a cult, but I'm trying to keep the people in the Discord from starting a cult.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine.
The Feral, how's it going? Great to see you again. Welcome back to the Blue Rose Respite.
Look, about last night... Never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, in knowing I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow, I feel myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. And we're always glad to have you with us, Feral. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. Shadowfang, thank you so much for the subscription! Shit, thank you so much! Welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. Be sure to join the Discord server, and you can hang out with the nerds. A lot of the time they have a voice chat going while I'm streaming so that they can like hang out and chill. So, yes, more recruits. Thank you so much for the subscription. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it, and I've never seen her angry. There's absolutely no pressure to subscribe, only if you want to. Outright annoyed, maybe and often distracted at Ash, but never furious. What do they say again about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, as if it had been simply waiting for its cue all its time, or this time, her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Do it. Yes, we have a separate text channel purely dedicated to dank memes. So be sure to check out that monstrosity when you get to the Discord.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
You have ham and potatoes. You have more than enough to cook with.
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Oh, paella. Paella sounds like really good night right now.
Sure you can.
Oops.
Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
I can actually make paella. It's a special occasion thing that I sometimes make with my family. It's so good. Pretty much if you just link your Twitch with Discord, then you'll have the option of like when you go onto Discord, like there's instructions, so like redeeming Twitch subscriber Discord access or something along those lines. Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Between us, the consistent clapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone else would come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping a conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Hey, Ash. Asshole. And be sure to check out, like, the fan art and frivolity section, because some people are, like, the people are amazingly talented, and they do, like, kind of fun little, like, comics or little edits of, like, Warhammer stuff or Darkest Dungeon stuff, so, yes, lots of fun things on the Discord. Only the dankest memes are welcome at the Blue Rose Respite. Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Izzy, man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
What about donk memes? Do you mean memes? My ties.
You weren't picking up.
So long as they're dank, they are welcome.
Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly clasps a hand on her arm and begins ushering out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, and the force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. White eye? It would have made a funny picture. Shy guy? You guys are dorks and I love you. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are in his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I had my camera on me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here.
These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Hi-bye? Fly high in the sky? Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. With pie. Or it might just be me reading into things, too much into things like always. Lo-fi. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest such. High tide? Know what? Isabella's fucking hungry. And food is really, really good as a comfort for things like heavy amounts of trauma. And so, yes, stay for fucking breakfast. Like, stop being such an asshole, Ash.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste. Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
Damn it, Zach! You're an amazing friend, and now I want food. No. The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air. Guys, I think I'm dying. Like, that sounds so good right now. It sounds better than what I had for dinner tonight. As soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside, a scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and windows open, the mouth-watering... It's appealing enough that when I pull the dishes out on the counter, another staff stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. Fuck, now I want pizza. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella's clinging to the doorframe for support, double over with breathless laughter. Ash is more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. Okay, I won't say it will be like a good night for our kids, but I hope like it's a good night. Again, you have my condolences. I really hope things go smoothly with your family. Like, honestly, don't hold back, like, feeling what you're going through. It's better to ride it out than to push it down. So I really mean it. Like, take care of yourself, but take care of the people who also love them, okay? I hope to see you again soon, but take as much time as you need to work through it, okay? I hope you have a good night, and have a good dinner.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything.
Oh, look at this awkward puppy dog face.
Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up.
Pizza is an excellent choice. I hope it's really, really good.
Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Oh, that looks good. Eventually settled down after the food has been served, the jibes replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk about over food and polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we can do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday.
I agree, Zachary's the dad and Ash and Isabella are his kids. Best dad.
Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. And they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself.
Since we had a few new people subscribing tonight, after tonight's stream is wrapped up, stick around in the chat and I'll drop instructions, a link to a webpage on how you can activate it if you're a Twitch subscriber. So stick around for a few minutes after I wrap up the stream and then I'll put it in the chat, okay?
Ma'am Hana's easy to please too, as long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still still weird, yeah?
A slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways. Yet in this moment, it's impossible to miss. The stream wraps up in about, 15 minutes or so. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one, especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
Yeah, having a pressure cooker explode in today's society, yeah, the news is going to be all over that.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Ooh, burn!
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps. The casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane story is interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they aren't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer, and waves for her to go ahead.
How How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the halls to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
Like, to be fair, like, it's the name that has the bad juju. Like, Luke's definitely the biggest dick, whereas Hannah's just kind of, like, unfortunately strung along with it. Yes, she might be a bit shallow and vain and maybe a bit flighty and uncomfortably flirty, but she's a good person at heart, Ash. Cut her some slack.
I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, clasps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often, he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is.
Ever heard of a fluke named Luke who thought he knew shit but didn't know shit? Yeah, sounds about right.
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. October 27th, Thursday. The next 2 days rush by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and unexpected acquaintances. Or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach deadlines set by an over-eager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision and know what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run so long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party there, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella, or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumour running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left behind to be said about the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself though, she ain't particularly bad when the way the press makes her out to be. Damn right, Zachary, you're such a good person. Sorry. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. And for someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her. But there we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. Sophie! So glad you could join us at the Blue Rose Respite. Welcome! Everyone, make sure to make Sophie feel welcome. So many new faces tonight. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well, and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I probably would have given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. Maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. Yeah, sorry if I'm not able to keep up with everyone, like, newcomers, if, you're not one of the early squad. But it is wonderful to see you again, Sophie. So I'm glad you're able to join us for a bit. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these help. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before the glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark, like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually, but I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach out for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh alone had become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has taken a sickly pale colour, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin beneath with vibrant shades of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something I saw.
Honest to God, that's one of my legitimate fears, like something like this happening while I'm streaming and I'm just like completely unaware of someone sneaking up behind me. Yes, I did literally just check over my shoulder now.
Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part, it's far more convenient. Makes a whole lot of more sense what a small voice inside my head whispers. I agree, Philosoraptor. That's a hell of a Snapchat filter. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at the photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Hannah? Part of me thinks that he should tell Hannah, but he's been closer friends with Ash for longer, and he's more of an interest in the rights, so I'm probably going to go with Ash. Like, okay, how's my relationship with Ash? Yeah, it could do a little bit more, like, development, so I'll show it to Ash. Ash will give me flack for this, he will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy's a skeptic through and through, and it will take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I'm no hero. That's a title best reserved for someone else. Still, this will help him change his mind. It's worth a try. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
No, they certainly do not, Zachary. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it tonight, my lovelies. It seems like a good point in our story to end, for now. And we'll continue reading the letter next Wednesday, as we join for another chapter of Woeful Wednesdays. So, I want to thank all of you so much for joining me this evening. Honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic seeing so many new faces in the chat. You are all most welcome here. It's so wonderful to see you guys able to join us. If you have work or school or other things going on, don't feel bad if you can't make it. That's why I do try my best to do 3 streams a week, so that there's a lot of opportunities to join me if you can. But thank you all so much for the amazing generous bits and subscriptions. Like, holy shit, guys. Thanks to your generosity and love and support, I'm able to do what I love doing so much. And one day I really hope to be able to narrate and write and stream full time. And you guys enable me little by little to eventually be able to get closer to that dream. So thank you all so much. And I mean that sincerely. Also, a massive shout out to Creepy Raven, another amazing guy, amazing narrator. And now an amazing mod as well. Thank you so much for the host and for joining me tonight. So, I will see many of you on Fantastical Friday for another adventure across the stars with Starbound as we continue Aquaria's adventures in exploration and trying to finally find another glitch colony, damn it. For those of you who have subscribed but haven't been able to join the Discord yet, stick around. I'm going to post a link in the chat, the Twitch chat, with instructions on how to join. But yeah, hang out for a moment for that. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far and you're just hanging out in the background, consider hitting that follow button. We would love to have you back at the Blue Rose Respite. Everyone is more than welcome here so long as they obey my rules. And they're pretty straightforward rules, not very difficult. But I'm so glad you were all able to join me this evening. I've really missed you guys so much. And I love streaming so much, so thank you. So, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, stay wicked and wonderful. Good night, guys.